Welcome everyone back to the Hoops Deep Dive show. Today we're going to go over the deals that have happened over the past 48 hours. There haven't been a lot. The KD trade request has really put a spanner in the works. You know, a lot of people now, their plans have been ruined because KD is available. So we're going to go over the limited amount of deals that have been done. We're going to go over who's still unsigned. There's a lot of big names. One of them might not even be a team at the start of next season. And we're going to go over the trade rumors, all centered around Brooklyn. So before we get into it, make sure you guys subscribe and like the video. Head over to our Instagram at HoopsDeepDive. We do shorts over there, covering NBA news, polls on the story. So make sure to support the channel and this new network. So let's get into the first deal. Cody Martin. The terms are not yet confirmed, but it's a 4-year deal with the Hornets. I think 4 years is a pretty long time for Cody Martin. Obviously, we don't know the terms, but he only played 26 minutes last year. Averaged 26 minutes per game, sorry. Yeah, averaged 38% on 3 on low attempts. You know, he's a solid defender, but I think 4 years is a pretty long time. He could see an increased role now that it looks like Miles Bridges isn't going to return. So that could be why they've done it, but I don't love it. Goran Dragic. It's already being hyped up. He was washed last season. This is not going to be the big deal for the Bulls that people are making it out to be. He averaged 7 points per game on 37% from the field and 24% from 3. He's probably 3 years past it. You know, the bubble was his last really, really good run. He shouldn't be in the Bulls' rotation if they're fully healthy, which I know is a big ask because they have dealt with a lot of injuries. But Lonzo, Zach LaVine, Kobe White, Alex Caruso, Ayo Dosunmu, they should all be above him. And, you know, DeMar, he plays more of a 3-4, but those 5 should all be ahead of him in the rotation. As a third-string guard who can sort of mentor Ayo Dosunmu, I don't mind it. But, you know, people are hyping it up like they did at Brooklyn last year, that he's going to be a game changer when, unfortunately, he's a couple of years past that player. Brim Forbes signs a minimum deal with the Wolves. He reminds me a lot of Wayne Ellington, you know, a good shooter, but he can't really fit into a team consistently because he cannot do anything else, you know. He can't defend, he can't play make, he's undersized, he can't create off the dribble, he can literally just shoot the 3 ball. So, you know, as a minimum signing, fill out the roster. I don't hate it, but yeah, he's not a game changer. Although he did have that amazing first round series against the Heat, but other than that, not a massive signing. Darius Garland, this isn't a free agency signing, but an extension. He's got the rookie max from the Cavs. It's much deserved. It was a great rise last season. He's a top 3 young point guard in the game. I really love him. You know, compared to other guys like LaMelo and those hyped up young players, I like him more, to be honest. His speed, his creation for himself and others, I think is much, much better than the other young prospects in the NBA. So I really love him. Max contract deserved. That Cavs young core, it would be one of the best young cores to build around in the NBA right now. The next deal is that Zion Williamson has committed to the max contract extension with the Pelicans. And this is a big story on multiple fronts. Number one, it means Zion has committed to the Pelicans. There's been a lot of rumors over the past year of friction between him and the organization, that he wants to go to a bigger market. So it's a big, big deal that he'll now spend the next 5 years, let's be honest, see out the contract. But let's hope that he can join a team that was really, really good in the first round last year. You know, they were really good without him around that new young core. And, you know, if they add Zion fully healthy, he's a top 15 player. And he's only 21. So it's a easy decision to give him the max contract extension. I think he's one of my favourite players in the NBA. I just hope he can stay healthy. He looks in great condition. But the bigger point is he now can't be included in trade talks for KD because he just signed the extension and he can't be traded until January 15, I believe. So that's even bigger, I think, because that's a big player off the market for Brooklyn. Because, I mean, I've said it before, I would have loved to have seen a Zion KD straight swap. The next deal, Josh Okogie signs a minimum deal with the Phoenix Suns. Should not be a substantial deal. He should not be in the rotation unless they fork out half the team for Kevin Durant, which could happen. But he's not a good NBA player, not a good rotation player. And yeah, it's just a bit of a nothing deal. This is actually a pretty big deal. Jalen Smith goes back to the Pacers on a 2-year deal. The Pacers recently opened up a max slot due to the Malcolm Brogdon trade, which I assumed they would use to table an offer to DeAndre Ayton. But now they have Smith back. They still have Turner, who's been on the trade market for forever. Do they still table that offer? I think they would have done it already if they were going to. So it looks like the market for Ayton is now shrinking a fair bit, which we'll get onto later. But I like Smith. I can't believe Phoenix traded him now, and they didn't want to give Ayton the max, and he would have been a replacement for him. He's not to that level, obviously, but he's shown potential to expand the shooting back to 3. Yeah, he's just shown some flashes. Look, he's not going to be an all-star, nothing like that, but it's a solid signing, and it has big implications for other parts of the NBA. So unfortunately, that's all the news we've gotten over the last 2 days. It's really slowed down a fair bit. These are some of the big names who are still available. So we'll touch on all of them, and then we'll go over some trade news and what are my thoughts on some of that. So the first name is James Harden. Looks like he's going back to Philly. He'll take a pay cut for more years on next season. So he opted out of his $47 million player option. I think it'll be around 33. 3 years, $100 million is the deal I expect it to be. But yeah, I think I'd like to see James Harden get in shape and get back to his best. A player that has really frustrated me. There's one thing I don't respect. It's purposely getting fat to force your way out of situations. Messing with your body like that. It's not something you should take lightly. The true professionals are always in shape. And, you can be unhappy with your situation and all that. But messing with your body and then messing up your start to your next destination is not something I can respect or, just not something I'm a big fan of. The next one, DeAndre Ayton. I think the market has dried up for him. I thought Detroit, they opened up the max slot, but it looks like they're committing to Duran and Stewart. And then, they got their veterans there like Kelly Olynyk. I thought Indiana would be the next team to offer him a max, but now they've re-signed Smith and they haven't done it yet. I think the market's really small for Ayton, and he could be forced into the qualifying offer and returning to the Suns, which would be an ugly situation. I don't think you can go back to that organization after the Game 7 conflict between him, Monty Williams, everyone. So, yeah, it's a bit of a weird spot. I would have thought there'd be a big market for DeAndre Ayton. He's someone I really like. There's question marks around his work rate and his mentality, but yeah, on his talent alone, it's pretty unreal that he still hasn't got an offer. The next player, Miles Bridges, could seriously go from a max contract at the start of free agency to out of the league. It's pretty crazy situation. It's not something I've seen in the last 15 years. He did a terrible thing. Domestic violence needs to be stamped out of this world, period. I mean, there's no excuse for it. It's one of the most terrible things. Multiple reports suggest that the Hornets have pulled the qualifying offer. So that means he can't go back to the Hornets on a cheaper deal. And I don't see an organization wanting to partner themselves with Miles right now and, associate themselves with the act that he's done. So could seriously be out of the league. He's a great talent, but, when you commit an act like he did, you can't defend it. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's not on a team come opening night. Colin Sexton, there's simply no market for him. I don't see a fit. The 2 teams with cap space, or the 3 teams, San Antonio, Detroit, Indiana, I don't see any of them wanting to tie themselves to Colin Sexton. I think he'll return to the Cavs on a qualifying offer, but I don't see a big contract out there for him. Montrezl Harrell, not a player I love. An undersized big, he can score, doesn't defend. Not really a winning player, in my opinion. I think he'll sign with some middling team on the minimum, come off the bench, give them some scoring. But I don't see Montrez having a big impact in the NBA for the rest of his career, to be honest. TJ Warren probably signs at the minimum somewhere. He's 28. He hasn't played since the start of the 2020-2021 shortened season. So he hasn't played since the end of 2020. He's a solid player. He was a good scorer. Obviously, he had that insane bubble run, but overall, he's not the greatest player. He's probably come a little overrated just after what happened in the bubble and all that. When I look at teams that could sign him for the minimum, I think the Lakers, I'd like to see them take a punt, my team. The Heat, they've shown a willingness to do it with Victor Oladipo. Boston, I know they just traded for Malcolm Brogdon and they probably don't want 2 injury-prone players joining the team, but they could go for him, or any contending team I could see taking a flyer on TJ Warren to try push them over the edge. So now we'll get on to the trade news, all centered around Brooklyn. Firstly, we'll touch on Kevin Durant, the biggest story in the NBA right now. The Warriors are interested, as you'd expect, it's Kevin Durant. They probably have the best offer in my opinion, and it would not surprise me if Kevin Durant goes back to the Warriors. The only thing stopping it, in my opinion, is if he talks to, Draymond, Steph, KD, the organization, and says, look, I'm not interested. They have a great culture as well, so I could see them not really wanting to not mess it up. I don't want to disrespect Kevin Durant like that, but he is, not the greatest locker room guy. I don't think it's that ridiculous to say that. So I could see them not doing it, but I mean, Poole, Wiggins, Kuminga, Moody, Wiseman, they have all their picks. Like, they have the most assets in the NBA to make a trade whilst also retaining their core, which is something I touched on the other day in the Kevin Durant trade video, is that teams are going to have to blow up their cores of the team to get him. So the Warriors are the only team that could really do both. They're my favourite to get him right now, but we'll see where it goes. And as a Lakers fan, this is the news I'm most excited to talk about, is the Kyrie Russell Westbrook trade rumours. Apparently the Brooklyn Nets and the Los Angeles Lakers are actively engaged in trade talks, but a sticking point is the Lakers want Seth Curry over Joe Harris. And I'm seeing a lot of Lakers fans freaking out about this, saying, can we please just take Joe Harris? It's for Kyrie. But I agree with the Lakers front office here that we need to wait it out for Seth Curry. Joe Harris's ankle is not right. Apparently, he won't be ready until the All-Star break this year, and he already missed a large chunk of last season. So apparently his ankle probably won't ever be 100% again, and he probably won't be that same player he was ever again. And, we're giving up late 2020s first round picks here. Our 2027 first, our 2029 first is likely in the deal as well. It's probably 2 first round picks. And, in the late 2020s, AD, LeBron, Kyrie, they're not going to be on the Lakers. They're going to be retired or elsewhere. And those first round picks, who are the Lakers going to have? Taylor Horton Tucker? I 100% agree. Those first round picks are some of the most valuable assets in the NBA right now. And the Lakers are 100% right to wait it out. We're the only team interested in Kyrie. The Brooklyn Nets can't say, well, we'll go talk to the Dallas Mavericks or the Los Angeles Clippers. No one else is interested right now. So I 100% agree with Rob Pelinka and the Lakers, which I don't say very often, that they should wait it out and make sure we get Seth Curry over Joe Harris. And that's it for another Hoops Deep Dive show, guys. Thanks for watching again. Come follow me on Instagram at HoopsDeepDive. I'll be uploading another video. Hopefully we start to get some news on DeAndre Ayton, James Harden and those big free agents, and then we can move into the off season.